There's no place like home. And today, my guest, Astro-Numerologist LaPorcha Cooper, is going to talk about what Astro-Numerology can reveal about your home. Hi, LaPorcha. Welcome back.
Hey, Kimberly, it's good to be back. How are
How are
you?
you? I'm doing fine. What about you?
Doing great, doing great. Glad to be here.
For those of you who don't know, LaPorcha Cooper came on the Manifesto on Purpose show before, and she was talking about the money mindset. If you have not heard that video, you should go back and listen to it. It will change the way you think about money. Also, Portia is an astronumerologist, so she has something very special for us to share. But before I get into it and start spilling the tea, I'm gonna let LaPortia spill a little bit of tea on her own. LaPortia, can you tell us a little more about yourself?
Sure. So, of course, I do money mindset coaching, life coaching in general. And I have been in real estate since 2008. So, what's that, 16 years, almost going on, seemed like 20. And I started during a good time, right? Right when the market crashed back in 2008. So, that was a wonderful time. But what it did, it forced me to think outside the box, right, to get deals done. And so I started focusing more on working with investors. And of course, I don't mind working with families, but at the end of the day, I knew the investors, would buy more property. So sometimes it's quantity over quality when it comes to investors. But I am different than most agents because I know how to do real estate investing and things of that nature. And I do also numerology, astro-numerology. So when I do help my clients find property, I make sure that it aligns with them, right? That they're gonna be in an environment that's conducive to whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish, whether that's starting a new home, starting off as a new family, as a young couple, or either you're trying to start a business, right? We want to make sure that the home is the right environment for whatever you're trying to achieve. And so that's how I got into numerology and housing, right? Putting those two together.
Awesome, awesome. So I ask everybody this when they come on to the show for the first time, and this is your first time on Astro-Numerology Reveal. Can you define for us what astronumerology is in your own terms?
Well, as I see it, it's a science, right? That includes looking at someone's birth chart, their astrological signs, where the sun, the moon, and other planets were in place when they were born, and that snapshot in that moment, it gives you an idea of the energy that was in place, and then marry that with the numbers, right? Because numbers are the universal language. They are the language of the universe, really, because mathematics, the universe speaks to us through numbers, and also numbers create patterns in your life, right? We all begin with the number, which was your birth date, and then you also end with the number, which is the day you die, right? So numbers always have an effect. They have a pattern in your life. If you were to go back and reflect on certain times in your life, you'll see where certain numbers always showed up when certain things were happening. So we all know that that is the language of the universe. And so when you put those two together, you get a clearer picture of who someone is. And it's really about knowing thyself. So that's where I started, right? Started on myself to know who I was and why I like certain things and why certain things I didn't like, right? Where was that stemming from? Was it just for me or this part of my characteristics? And so just doing the work on myself led me into this field.
It got deep for me when you said that the universe communicates to us through numbers. That is powerful. How
Yes.
on earth did you get in contact with astronumerology? What made you? I know it's something that a lot of people have not heard of yet. How did it cross your path?
Well, it started with astrology first. I was always the one to read the horoscopes in the newspaper and whatnot. And people would tell me, oh, that's just a whole bunch of superstition. But deep down inside, I felt like there was some truth to this. Regardless of what other people were saying, I would still read my horoscope, right? And then what I would do is reflect back on the day and see if anything happened that the horoscope, predicted. So I never like predicated my life on what was said in the horoscope, but I would use it as a guide, even growing up. So astrology is where I started. I took an astrology class back in 2017, just to get to know, what the planets influence, the houses, and things like that. And recently, I got into numerology about a couple of years ago because someone was telling me that, oh, you need to get a reading with a numerologist. They can tell you, what your number represents and how this has an influence on you and blah, blah, blah. And so I actually got my first reading from King Simon over the phone. And he gave me my numbers. It was a very quick reading. I guess he was in a hurry, but he gave me my numbers and, that kind of stuff. And so I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, these are my numbers. And before that, I got a numerology report from a lady, and the report was just too long for me to even read. But so that's how I kind of got into it, right? Just from curious about my own nature.
That's awesome. So when you hear the phrase, being that you've been in real estate, when you hear the phrase home, sweet home, or there's no place like home, thinking in your numerical mind from a numerical point of view, how does that make you feel and what does it make you think about?
Well, one of the things I always tell my clients that home is a feeling, it's not a place, right? So you can't sell a house to a person. It's what they feel when they walk through that door. So that's what I always tell them because we can look at 100 homes, but if you don't feel that connection with that property, then it's not the one for you. So home is always a feeling. And I always know when my clients are interested in making an offer on a property because most often they'll start to linger. They want to kind of linger around and have a conversation. How much should they put down and all this other good stuff, right? They want to get a feel for what it's like to be in that energy of that home. So it's really, when I hear the word home sweet home, that's because that home is where the heart is, right? It's where the feelings that you have, that's where that resides.
And how do you couple that with numerology? What does
Well,
numerology reveal about the home we live in?
Well, either it's going to be conducive, right? It's going to be beneficial for you, or it's going to be detrimental for you, right? The environment that you're in, according to what your numbers are and what you're trying to accomplish. Because, for instance, if I'm a newlywed couple, right, and we're looking to buy a home, we don't need to buy a number one home, right? Because if we buy a number one home, that's going to signify loneliness, being a loner, independence. So yeah, y'all be in the same house, but there won't be too much togetherness, right? So if you want togetherness, you move into another number two home, right? A home that equals up to a two, because it has that quality, right? Partnerships. That's what the number two is about. So that's where, the numerology comes into play because if you're looking to achieve certain objectives, and if that number is in harmony with you, then that's where you should reside in order to get those goals accomplished.
So, number one, it tells you how to align your goals with the home that you're going to purchase or be living in. Are there
Yes.
other things that numerology can tell us about the home?
And also tell you what the home is prone to: fire, floods, sewer problems, things like that. Because certain numbers, right, imbibe certain qualities. Like the two and the seven, they are what you call water numbers, the moon numbers. And so usually a house that equals up to a two or a seven, you would probably have, you're probably going to have pipe problems, water pipe problems, water leaks or flooding or something like that.
Awesome, awesome. So I got a couple of questions because I want to see how this plays out. I have
Mhm.
a couple addresses and I'm going to give you these addresses and I want you to tell me what I can expect from these addresses and I'll let you know what fits, um, which descriptions fit. The first address is 775.
All right, 775. So 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 5 is 19. 19, 1 plus 9 is 1. But it's interesting that you picked that address because 19 is what we consider a karmic number. Now, a karmic number is just a number that has some type of debt associated with it. It could be an obstacle that you will have to overcome in order to repay that debt. So if you live in a home that has a karmic number, such as, well, 19 being one, but 13, 14, and 16, those are the other three. Um, just know that you're going to be paying back some type of karmic debt. And so with the 19 home, what 19 represents is a lack of compassion, right? Abuse of power. So that means that in a past life or a past situation, you may have been an ego, well, not ego, well, egotist or a narcissist or just selfish, right? And so in a 19 home, you will have to work hard to think of others, right? To be compassionate, to help others, right? You may have to go out of your way to do that. And also to break up old pattern and habits that you have that's going to uplift others, right? You need to create patterns that are going to uplift others. So that's where the energy is with the 19 home. And like I said, 19, 16, 14, and 13 are the karmic numbers. So there is always something to be repaid. So if you live in that type of home, that's what you're going to have to overcome, right? Being selfish, right? Being showing more compassion towards others, helping others, uplifting others.
Okay, I have a question since you talk about the karmic debt number.
Hmm.
Since we're talking about a home, like when a number adds up to a karmic debt number, and just for the viewers to know, when we're talking about the number on the home, we're talking about the address, the physical building. So, like if the building you're staying in is that number, you add the numbers together to get a single digit, and that is what we're considering here. But my question about the karmic debt number is, say that you're in one of these karmic debt homes and you say that there is a debt that has to be repaid. Do you think that if that person moves on from that home, then it's a sign that they have fulfilled that karmic debt?
Well, that's a good question. Or either the energy was too much for them to handle and they had to move, right? So
That's
it could be either or.
interesting.
It could be either or. Because some people, right? A lot of people aren't aware of these energies, right? They just pick houses at random because they like them. They don't ever think, oh, well, this address is going to be in harmony with me, right? That's not, we're not taught that.
Yeah.
So if you're living in a home that equals up to 19, you have no clue that a 19 has this kind of effect. You're going to be up. These challenges are going to be coming up, and you're not going to know why, but you're just going to know you're having a whole lot of problems living at this property, and so you're probably just going to move, right? A lot of people don't rise to the occasion. You have to be aware first. Yes. Once you're aware, then you can address the problem. But if you have no awareness, no spirituality, no connection on that end, then you're just, you're living in a mundane world thinking these things are just happening at random or there's issues with this property.
Other than that karmic debt, what else can we expect from the home that equals up to the 19 or the 1?
Well, that's the thing. So since the 19 does equal up to one, because one plus nine is one, if you notice, we're going to go down the numbers, I think, of one through nine. But let's talk about one right now because one is the number of the loner, right? One and seven are the loner numbers, but they're loners for two different reasons. One is alone, right? The number one is alone because it is independent, right? It doesn't need anybody. I can do it on my own on the original. Whereas seven is a loner number because I need to go within, I need to reflect, I need to, right? It's more spiritual. So their reasons for being loners are two different things, but those are two numbers that are loners. So that means that if you're a couple or you're looking to start a family, being in a home that equals up to a one or a seven ain't going to be for you because they're numbers for people who want to be alone. Now, with the 19, since the overall number, the root number is one, one can be selfish, right? That number can be selfish and alone. So with that, you being selfish, that leads to being incompassionate to others, right? Treating people however, because you feel like you have to put yourself first. And so that's why the one and the 19 are synonymous. It's just that the 19 carries a spiritual debt with it versus just a single one.
So is that saying that the person actually takes on the energy of the home?
Yes, the home is
Wow.
the environment that creates the vibration and which you must resonate or not resonate with. Yes. And so
Oh,
whatever equality or vibration is imbibing, either you're going to be in vibrational resonance or not with that. And that's fine, right? Not everybody's in tune with certain vibrations, and that's fine. But you have to know what's for you and what's not for you.
that's deep. That's deep. So
Right, because
think
it's your
about that.
environment.
Wow. In the audience, think about that the next time you select a home, the next time you make that purchase. The next address I'm going on to is 119.
119, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 9 is 11. So now this is a master number 11 home. So this has a different quality than just a regular 2 home. Normally we would reduce it down to 2, but since this is 11 master home, let's think of the 11 as a, so when you're looking at the 11, it looks like a pillar, right? Like looks like 2 pillars. Well, in between it's a gateway, right? And other side of that gateway is the gateway to a new life or a new mindset, right? So when you live in a number 11 house, most likely you're going to discover new ideas or just a change in life in general. That's what happens when you're in a number 11 home. And it's more on a spiritual level because you're going to have a lot of tests and trials while you're trying to create this new life, right? Spiritually. And so just know that that's going to come up if you live in a number 11 2 house. And since 2 deals with emotion, being oversensitive and emotional, it's just one of those things where it's going to take emotional vibrations, right, to change how you feel about things in order to create that alchemy within to overcome the trials that this 11 is going to present to you. Right. And I know for a fact that this is true. Even before I was aware of numerology, me being a 2, I was born on the 20th of the month. I used to live in a house that equaled up to a 9. The address, the house number was 3123. So once you add up those numbers, it comes up to be just an even 9. But when I was living there, I was constantly sick. I remember having like little sores on my skin and fevers and all kinds of stuff, and going back and forth to different doctors saying this, and that. And I think they finally settled on lupus and said I had lupus, even though I'd never found it in my blood work. And me personally, mentally, I never claimed it. I never claimed to have lupus. And so I went to the rheumatologist. They gave me pills and all that stuff to take. And I just decided to stop taking my pills. I mean, we had moved from the house and I stopped taking my pills, and I haven't had a problem since. So I know for a fact it had to be something with that house because I haven't been sick like that since I lived in that house.
Wow, is that what gave you the passion to include numerology in real estate and home buying or home ownership?
Right. So looking at my own experience and saying, hey, there's something to this, and even having a conversation. I read for a client the other day. She's a number 7. And I said, oh, you'll probably live in a home that equals up to a 7. She said, how'd you know? Because my address is 502. Well, there you go. And her house has a pool. And she
Wow.
has sewer, and she has water pipe problems. So go figure.
And I want to go back to the first address I gave you. I forgot to let you know, but I believe what you said about that address is kind of like it was spot on. So with the second address, you're spot on as well because I did not even think about this.
Hmm.
But while I was at that property, that was a time of spiritual awakening in my life. And so I know what you said was absolutely correct when it came to that one. So
Hmm.
I have another one, 394.
16:7. Again, you're dealing with another karmic lesson, right? So 3 plus 9 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. So 16 root number is 7, right? And what is 7? It's the number of spirituality, being alone, going within, right? So what do you think the 16 represents? Because remember, all these karmic numbers associate with some type of debt. So when we are looking at the 16, it is the misuse of love, right? It often indicates an illicit love affair. It's not conducive to successful relationships or even friendships. Because remember, the root number is 7. And what does 7 represent? Being alone. So why would 16 be any different? And that's why if you're a married couple and you move into a 16 home, there's going to be your spouse may cheat on you, right? They may go outside the marriage because that's what you're going to be at risk of, right? Your challenge, you're going to need to work hard to conquer your willpower when you're living in this type of environment, because again, you're going to be forced to be looking outside, right, for love versus inside the home, because the inside of the house does not lend well to that type of environment. Again, you're not going to be able to have a successful romantic relationship in that house. That's the debt to be repaid.
So I hope everybody is listening to this. If the number adds up to 16, stay away if you're trying to be in a relationship.
Exactly, because you're, like I said, you're going to be risking your own relationship, and then there's going to be a lot of outside influences. And so, unfortunately, your spouse may be prone to cheating in this type of environment.
Wow, that's amazing. And one more is 154.
Okay, 1 plus 5 is 6, and 6 plus 4 is 10. So we're back on the one again, right? But this one is just a straight one, right? It's not a karmic number or anything like that. So what can I say about the number one? Well, the number one is a very creative, innovative number. It's really good for businesses and for those who want to be alone, right? So if you are a loner, then this would be great for you. Helps you. So if you're a work from home person, an entrepreneur, this would be a good environment for you to be in, basically. Now, one is a fire number. The fire numbers being 1, 3, and 9. So one is the first number that comes up in that series. So with that being said, that means that this house probably has a fireplace, a fire pit, or is prone to fires in some kind of way.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Thank you for that portion. I heard you mention something, especially when we got to the number 119. You were
Mm-hmm.
talking about the master numbers.
Mm-hmm.
What type of frequency, what happens when there's a home that is a master number? We saw the 11. What about the other master numbers?
Well, the other ones are 22 and 33. Now, with the 22 home, that home is, how can I say, it's very calm. It's a very calm and safe house. It's the kind of environment that you're creating, because 22 represents stability, yes. And it's a great number, right? Great number source to tap into power, to great power. So it's excellent to be a forever home. So if you're looking for a forever home, then a 22-4 would definitely be it. Um, and then it's also a home that kids return to after they left, right? So that's why I said it's a forever home. It's one of those homes that the family keeps. Kids grow up and they still come back to have dinners and parties, whatever they do. But it's always about family gatherings. Now the challenges would be that you have to put things in. You're going to have spiritual trials, because those what the master numbers represents. Yes, they represent more of a spiritual nature, and you're always going to be tested when it comes to those master numbers 11, 22, and 33. So it involves outside pressures like work, right? And also, it's important to keep a work-life balance, because just like with the number 4 energy, this is the same. It's just a 22-4. So it's just going to be on a more spiritual level. So your work may be dealing with others, maybe a pastor, preacher, maybe a metaphysician or something like that, right? So that's what I'm talking about. This 22-4, you could be doing work out of the house, but it's still going to be something related in a spiritual nature. And you're going to be tested on that. So that's what the 22-4 represents if you're living in that type of environment, right? So a lot of spiritual trials involving work is what you'll find with the 22-4. Now, let me bring up the other one, right? Let's talk about the
Okay.
33.
Okay.
Now, the 33 home, it represents uplifting, love, selflessness. It's a love energy that's rare. It's a very rare number, 33. And the root number is 6. And we all know that 6 is the number of love. So this gets even amplified, because this is going to be an extraordinary amount of love for others and selflessness. And so it's an excellent place, right, for people to feel safe in, and to come and tell you their darkest secrets. They'll come in their darkest hour to you, or their darkest time of need, because this is the kind of environment that you have created or cultivated in this number 6 space. Now, the challenge with that's going to be, because you are so nurturing and so loving with others, you're going to have to learn how to rein that back and save some for yourself, right? Set time to do some self-care, self-love, some time alone, because this can be a very depleting energy, especially if everybody's coming to you for advice and all that good stuff, right? To help them out.
That's interesting to know that we have so many different energies when it comes to the master number. So
Hmm.
I think the 33 would be a good address for someone who is actually looking to be married or looking for a partner or raising a family. So
Well,
thank
six is
you.
good for that, right? So 33, six. So six is good for that. So if you're looking to do those things, have a large family and whatnot, then yes, that would be. And it's a great space for for plants and pets too, not just children, because it's a nurturing environment.
Wow. Wow. So it's pretty much good for anything that represents nurturing. That's
Right. The
interesting.
six energy, because six represents love, right? That is the number of love. And when you're dealing with six, well, the three, six, and nine, they're the artist numbers. So that also that the environment is very good for artistic endeavors, right? Music. If you're a musician, an artist, if you're a dancer, right? Living in a six environment would definitely help you with that.
Portia, you said that there are four karmic numbers and we only talked about two.
Mhm.
Can we talk about the other two karmic numbers?
For sure. So the four karmic numbers again, just as a refresher: 13, 14, 16, and 19. We covered 19 and 16. So let's talk about 13. And 13 really gets a bad rap, right? Because everybody thinks that number is is unlucky, has a lot of superstition surrounding it. If you go to some hotels, they don't have a 13th floor; it goes straight from 12 to 14. So it's been one of those numbers that has been demonized through society, but I'm here to tell you that every number has its good and bad qualities, and it really just depends on how you utilize the number as to how it works in your benefit. So, again, these carving numbers are associated with some type of debt. So, 13 is no different. And then the root number of 13 is 4. So, we have to keep that in mind too. So, when we're talking about 13, the debt that has to be repaid is for past laziness, right? The lack of work ethic is what has to be repaid with the 13 home, which means that you're going to have to exert a lot of energy and effort, whether it's emotionally or physically, right? It's going to be some type of labor that you're going to have to exert. So with that, ultimately, what that represents with a home is that a number 13 house is going to need a lot of work, right? Or it may have some type of damage. It may need structural work or something like that. So if you do decide to buy a number 13 house, then just know that you may be up for a lot of repairs, or you might get in over your head with the repairs because maybe you thought it was something and it turned out to be greater than what it was when you started doing the repairs. Also look for structural issues like the foundation, because that, 13 structure, right? The karmic debt that has to be repaid is physical labor. So you definitely want to keep that in mind as well. So again, if you buy a 13 home, just know that it may have some damages. It may be a lot of work that has to be done on the house.
Don't worry, Portia. You don't have to worry about me buying a 13 home. You said hard work. There's no way.
But
I'm
that's what the
going
four
to
is, right? The
continue.
four is about hard work, right? It's about structure, it's about discipline. And so that's the karmic debt that you have to pay back when you're on a 13 in a 13 energy, right? Because you were
Wow.
being lazy.
Wow. No, thank you. Okay. Let's move right along to the next one.
Okay, well, 14. 14 is the next one, and 1 plus 4 equals 5. So the root number of 14 would be 5. And what is 5? It's the number that represents freedom, change, travel, right? So what does the 14 represent? Well, the debt is on the misuse of freedom in a past life, which usually implies that you must pay back for the past when you were being selfish or inconsiderate with others. So, in other words, you mistreated others, right? In the past, you were cruel to someone, and so you're paying back that debt. So that's what the 14 is about. So to repay the karma, though, you must now practice extreme modesty and kindness, right? You got to neutralize the debt through energy and put out more modesty and kindness. Go out of your way to help others, that kind of scenario. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to take a strong personality to overcome this negative energy, because this 5 energy can be great. This 14-5 energy can be very great, but you do have to learn how to love others, right? Accept them for who they are, and then also go out of your way to help others in order to neutralize the debt that has been placed on this property.
And I'm sure with these Karmic debt numbers, you're not just getting some of the normal challenges like everyone else will. You're probably getting tested and you're being challenged more than most just to pay back that debt. So I'm sure it's not easy at all.
No, I
So,
would I would rather live in a master number house than a karmic debt number house, right? Because you're going to be paying back a lot through hard. And then, like I said, most people are unconscious, right? They're not aware of the energy that's present in the home because of the address. And what's crazy is a lot of businesses they're using this. When I went to go pay my water bill the other day, I looked at the address of the water company, and it equaled up to a 7, right? So we know that they are using this for business.
wow.
You think that's coincidental that the water place was a 7? I mean, I don't think so.
No, that was no coincidence at all. So it lets me know that we're not the only ones that are using numerology.
The people have been using this for thousands of years, right? And we're just now getting around to the science, which I feel that is most helpful for most people because you may be in a place that's not beneficial for you and you're trying to figure out why you're always sick, why your kid is always sick, why you guys are always in these certain cycles, and it's because of the energy that's in the house.
Mm. Wow, that's kind of deep. You may not know what's going on. And in the example you gave earlier, you were actually having health problems and did not know that it was directly connected to the frequency and the energy of the home that you were in. So, no more is it like just okay for you to go in and sage your home and live there. You should really get some information about the home. And the best way to find out about that frequency and that energy is to know the numerology of it.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, when I got married, we moved into a number one home and we didn't understand the energy, but we started splitting apart, right? Going independent different ways and things like that. Um, because of the energy in the house. It's just not very good for, being together. It doesn't lend well to that.
That makes a lot of sense. It does.
Hmm.
And we're going to, because we know you're curious too, you want to know about your home. So Portia's going to tell us what we can expect from each home, 1 through 9. But first, this is how you get your home number. I'm talking about the house you live in or the building you live in. Take those numbers, that part of your address, and add them together and reduce them until you get a single digit. That single digit represents the frequency of the home that you are currently living in. And you can do this for any location. You can do this for the address of a store that you love to go to, or you can do it for somebody else's home. But what I want you to do today is to listen to her 1 through 9 descriptions to see if your home fits in that descriptions. And if it does, let us know in the comment section. So are you ready for us, Portia?
Yeah, I also want to throw this out there that if you live in an apartment that has a letter like 3B, then that B you would convert to a number, which would be 2. So for the alphabets to be 1 equals A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. And so you would just, go so forth like that if you had an alphabet included in your address. So that's how you would break that down.
Thank you. I wasn't thinking in that I wasn't thinking that way. But
Mhm.
thank you, Portia. Portia's got my back. I'm trying to tell you.
Just want to
What
make sure because I'm sure somebody had that question, right? They're gonna be like, "Well, I got a letter in my address. How do I?" And the reason why we don't do the street names because in numerology we can break down names, but the street name affects everybody on the street. It's not going to be unique just to you. So you want to just do your house number, not the street name. You stick directly with your house number, and even with the building number of an apartment. Okay, so you can find out what kind of influence the building has, but in general, it's your apartment that's going to have the greatest influence on you. So definitely work on the apartment number per se. And if you're looking for an apartment, and of course, because when you're looking for one, you never know what your apartment's going to number is going to be. I would say look at the address of the apartment complex, right, and see if that's in alignment with you first. And then if it is, then try to see if they have any apartments available there.
that's a good idea.
Hmm. Yeah, so just to help people out in their search. But starting with the number one. So, one, as I mentioned before, creativity, drive, innovation, right? So, if you're a number one in a number one environment, then great. If you work from home, that'd be great for you. If you're starting a new business, if you're a solo entrepreneur, excellent environment, right? But the challenges is, right, that it can lead to too much independence, right? You remember independent women? Hey, but guess what? A lot of them are lonely, right? You independent, lonely girl, right? Because you're too independent. So that's what happens with the number one. You are in an environment where you're like, I don't need nobody. I got myself, I'm all alone, but I'm good. So that's the environment that's the attitude that you're going to cultivate. So really, if you live in a number one home, you're going to have to really force yourself to get out and go out of your way to go and meet up with people, visit with others, have them come over, right? Because you're such a loner. You're going to be probably more focused on work than anything else. So you really have to make sure to get out of the house, even if that just means going outside, right? Being in that number one environment. So you definitely need to watch out for that. And remember, I told you there are some fire numbers, one being the first one in the series, 1, 3, and 9. So this house could be prone to fire, or it may have a fireplace or a fire pit. And it's very suitable for those who are entrepreneurs who are on the go, right? You would love being in this environment. Now, however, if you are married or in a relationship, or you're trying to live with a roommate, this ain't for you, right? Not for you. It does not lend well to couple environment because of the independence. It just doesn't do well, right? You want an environment that's together, right? That promotes togetherness, which would be a number two environment. So if your home equals up to a number two, then, well, let's talk about the number two in general. It's a very sensitive, right? Sentimental number, very emotional number, right? Because 2 and 7 are the water numbers. And if you know anything about water signs, like anybody who's born under Cancer or Scorpio or Pisces, those are your water signs. It is said to be people who are water signs a little more emotional than most, right? So if they live in a number two home, then they can become very oversensitive, right? Over emotional, right? If you're a water sign, then you may not want to live in that type of environment because you may be weepy a lot. Now, you may be overwhelmed with a lot of emotions. You may be seeking validation and affection all the time because of that. Now, it does lend well and it's excellent for couples, young families, best friends, intimate gatherings. So, if you're looking to achieve those kind of things, then yes, this environment will be perfect for that. But again, like I said, if you're a number two, not number two, but a water sign person, being in this number two energy can definitely amplify that and make you more sensitive. So just watch out for that, or overly emotional. Now, again, this is very suitable for couples, but certain professions are good here too, like teachers, right? Because teachers have to be sensitive. Gardeners and social workers, because social workers, again, they have to be sensitive and show emotion as well. Now, number two, being a water number, it can be prone to flooding. It probably has a pool. It's probably by some body of water, whether it's a lake, river, or on the beach. And you may be prone to having leaky pipes as well if you live in a number two home, because of course, two, is the rules, the element of water. Now, three, a number three house. Now, three is that fun, right? Three is creative. That's the number of creative energy. The numbers of the artist, again, are 3, 6, and 9. So the three is the first in that set. It's a very sociable number. So this kind of environment is really good for networking, hosting parties, interacting with other people. So if you live in a number three home, you're doing all that. And but your challenge is going to be is being organized, right? Because usually when you're in a number three energy, you're very disorganized, you're very scattered. And so you're going to have to learn, right, living in this energy, how to be more organized. You're going to have to set up time, maybe some rules to make sure that you clean and do that kind of stuff, right? And not get all, messy and whatnot. Because three is just that type of energy, right? Very creative, very passionate, a fire number, but, they can be very disorganized at the same time. Now, if you have a number three house, and if you're in the entertainment business, then this is going to be very good for you because this is a number of the artist. So if you're an actor, a musician, a painter, right? Anything dealing with the arts, this is the environment for you. And if you're a writer as well, this could be really good for the creative source that you need, right? Give you that energy. Now, we know that 1, 3, or 9 are the fire numbers. So you can guess that 3 would be prone to fires, or either it would have a fireplace, fire pit, or something like that, right? So a number three house, that would be the quality and the kind of people that would thrive there. Now, a number four house, the fours are very interesting, right? Um, because fours are loners too. Remember, one and four are the pair numbers for the sun. So the one and four, they kind of have similar energy, right? People who live in four houses, they're loners too, right? And they're about business. So if you're living in a number four house, it could be very good for investment, business, and education. Because four is a very grounded and practical number, very disciplined and very structured, right? So that's the quality of the number itself. And so your challenge is going to be um, no excitement in that house, right? Not much excitement. It can lead to a lack of work life balance because you're probably going to be working all the time. You're not going to be very spontaneous in that house, not one to throw parties, right? That's not the party house. And most often it's going to have either something unusual about it, an unusual floor plan. Maybe the way the house is designed on the outside is unusual from the rest of the houses in the neighborhood. And often when you're doing renovations on a number four house, it's not because you desire the renovations. You're going to be looking at it more or less from a standpoint of what value it's going to add to the property, right? So if I do you're not looking to add granite countertops just because you like it. You're going to add it because you know you're going to get $2,000 more if you sell this house with the granite countertops, right? So that's what you're going to be looking at when you have a number four home. So very structured, very disciplined, very good for investments, right? Because remember, I told you about the 13 house, right? House that needs a whole lot of repairs. Well, that's the kind of houses that investors look for, right? So it's a four house. But again, people who live in fours, loners, right? But they happen to be methodical, hardworking, analytical. So this could be your engineers, mathematicians, right? Or students, right? You could be a college student. This would be a great environment for you because you're going to be more focused on studying. Now, again, this kind of house has something that's odd and unusual about it. So you'll find out. But I also want to mention that this is the only numbers, 4 and 8. So if your birth date equals to a four, that means if you're born on the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, or the 31st of the month, do not move into a home that equals to a four because and it's only with people who birthdays add up to either a four or an eight. um, the numbers themselves are odd and unusual. And if you live in a home that equals up to your birth number, then it's going to not have a good effect on you, right? It's going to be very detrimental to you because of the odd quality of the vibration. It's not going to be in resonance with you. So if your birthday does happen to fall on one of those dates that I just gave you, then you most likely need to find a house that equals up to a one or a five. Now, it really depends on what your objectives are because I already told you that if you're looking to start a business, work from home or whatnot, then if you're a number four person, moving in the number one house would be beneficial for you on that. Okay. So that's what you need to look at. But it's either going to be a one or a five, right? Not a number four home for anybody who is a number four person or a number eight. It's just not going to be good for you. Now we're going to talk about the number five house, which will also be good for a number four person. Because that five house is the fun house. That's what I call the fun house, right? Because fives are very social, gregarious. They're all about excitement, socializing. Because remember, five is the number that represents change, freedom, and travel. So it's going to be really great for hosting parties, celebrations. They tend to, people who live in number five homes tend to enjoy the present more. They don't dwell on the past. They live in the now moment, right? And so they love the environment, right? Living in the now, throwing parties, doing things now. Now, the challenges, however, is that if you're looking for peace and quiet, this ain't going to be it, right? This ain't the house for you. Peace and quiet ain't number five, right? Five is that fun number, it's the fun house. And so, also another thing to keep in mind that number five homes usually are temporary. And that makes sense because the five is the number of freedom and change and travel. You can't stay there long. No one can cope with that energy for a long term. So just know if your house equals up to a number five, it will never be a forever home. It's just a home that you're there for a reason or a season, a place for a purpose, right? And then from there, you just move on. They're not long term forever homes, they're temporary because of the energy that they have. Now, the kind of people that thrive in number five homes, though, are those who are writers, right? Because they have creative freedom in the house, they can write. Also, if you like to travel, so if you're a writer and you like to travel, then this is going to be the house for you, right? But other than that, if you like lots of company, you like to throw parties, then this is going to be the house for you. And also another good thing about a number five house that it attracts financial gain as well. So, right, attract. And another thing I want to mention about a number five house, you'll be constantly moving your furniture around, right? Because it's the house of change. So you're gonna be like, oh man, I need to move the couch over here, and then another month or two, you might not move over there. Right, I'm gonna put the TV here. You're gonna be constantly rearranging furniture when you're in a number five house as well, because of the the qualities of change, and nothing's ever the same, right? Not with the five. So a number six house. Now we kind of talked about this when we talked about the 33. The 33 just amplifies this energy because the number six house is really a compassionate house, right? A house of selflessness, right? Giving yourself to others. It's a nurturing environment. That's why it's perfect for being comfortable, and also a nurturing environment for children, plants, and pets, right? That number six energy. Remember, six is the number of love. So it is that quality that that house will imbibe. So if you're looking to start a family, then being in the sixth house will definitely be the energy that you guys need, right? So it's just going to be a comfortable space. And the problem that you're going to have, though, is that you might find yourself giving too much to others, just like with the 33, right? Because you're going to be in an environment that you just want to give yourself selflessly, which is all good, but you can't give more to others than what you have in your cup, right? You have to replenish your cup in order to pour more into others. So you're going to have to find time to replenish, rejuvenate, self care, and self love. And there's nothing wrong with helping others, but make sure you help yourself first and you get yourself in a position where you can help others. And that's where the sixth environment is, right? It's a very nurturing environment. Now, it's conducive to family, like I said. And what you'll notice about a number six home is that most likely the lawn would be very manicured, landscape immaculate. They're going to have beautiful decorations in the home. That's just number six quality. And another thing they're going to have is that they could be prone to sewer problems because six and eight are the earth numbers, right? And sewer coming from the earth. That's why I said the landscaping and the yard to be nice because it deals with earth. So the sixth house would definitely reflect that. And the type of people who flourish in these homes, remember I told you the artist numbers 3, 6, and 9, was six is the second number in that series. And so if you're an artist, musician, artist, dancer, right, painter, whatever you are, you will do well in this creative energy, an actor, because the six is conducive for that. Okay. Now we're on to seven. Now we kind of touched on seven a little bit, right? Seven is another loner number, but it's a loner number for a good reason, right? It's a number that you want to go inside and reflect spiritually, right? Have some spiritual insights. That's the reason why you want to be alone. One and seven are loner numbers. Not very good for people who are a couple. Like if you're in a relationship or you're married, never move into a house that equals up to a one or a seven because those houses they have the quality for loners. And if you're trying to be together, that's not the energy for that, right? You guys are going to be separated a lot. Go because if you're living a house, for instance, my grandmother's house equaled up to a seven. She was married at the time when she moved in. She went to church, he didn't, and she would get on him about not going to church, and then ultimately they wind up divorcing just a couple of years later after they moved into the home. And it's because that seven energy, it does not lends itself well to relationships. Now, relationship with yourself, right? Doing some self introspection, reflection, prayer, meditation. If you like to read books, right? Seven got you, right? Seven got you for that. But if you're trying to have a relationship, ain't the one. So it's not suitable for entertaining either, right? Because it's not that type of house. It's not the party house. So you can feel very lonely in a sense. Now, this is the difference between the one and the seven. The one prefers to be alone because they're independent. The seven, however, they're alone for a reason because the only way you can know thyself is to be with thyself. So that means that I have to do a lot of time alone, self reflection, but I still want to socialize with other people when I want to socialize, right? That's what the seven is. And so you're going to still have to go out there and and meet up with people, visit with people, interact with others because it's such a spiritual house that sometimes you get lost inside yourself and forget there's a world outside. So make sure to do that when you're in the seven home. That's going to be your challenge. Now, who's the seven house good for? Well, it's good for spiritual teachers, metaphysicians, right? Anybody dealing with spiritual work, metaphysical work. It's very quiet and serene environment, right? That's the kind of Or if you want to do introspection, right? If you're a creative writer and you need to dive deep and do some introspection work before writing, then this would be a great house for you to be in as well. Now, again, 2 and 7 are the water numbers. So we already know that this house may be prone to flooding, or it could have a pool near some type of body of water, right? Or it could have leaky pipes. So it's just one of the characteristics of being in the 7 home. And I think I told you guys that I had a client, her address equaled up to a 7502, and she has a pool and she has some issues with her water pipes as well. So go figure. Now, a number 8 home. So 8 is a great number. Now, 8 is one of those numbers that say go big or go home, right? We ain't doing nothing unless it's grand. That's what 8 says. So 8 represents a lot of prosperity and abundance. It's excellent for those entrepreneurs that or those who want to make money, right? 8 got you. It's a very high energy, high growth environment. So it's very good for raising families as well. So you could do that in an 8 environment. Remember, 6 and 8 being the earth numbers, so very good stability as far as that goes with being stable with family. Now your challenge is everything is done on a grand scale. Remember, 8 says go big or go home. So yeah, you're gonna have some big wins, but also some big losses, right? So that's just the nature of the game. And also with an 8 living in that environment, you're always dissatisfied. You're always gonna want more. You're always gonna want to buy stuff for the house, causing clutter, right? Because 8 is the number of dissatisfaction. You can't have enough. And so being in that environment, you're probably going to be cluttering your home, or I don't want to say hoarding, but sometimes that does lead to that. But that usually happens in a number 8 environment because for some reason, people have an insatiable appetite, right? They don't get enough, they're dissatisfied, and they keep buying stuff and cluttering up the house. Now, who would do well in a number 8 home? Well, an executive, right? A stockbroker, an investment banker, someone of that nature who's looking to gain quick wealth, right? 8 environment is great for that. And for some reason, the number 8 itself and these types of houses tend to attract older people or people with old souls. Okay. And again, it being a earth number, usually 8 homes have nice yards, right? Nice landscaping, a well manicured front lawn, and all that good stuff. But also can be prone to sewer issues as well, just like the number 6 house, because we're dealing with earth. Now, remember what I told you about number 4 people, how they can't live in a number 4 house or number 8 house? Well, the same thing applies to a number 8 person. I know it sounds like a person that's a number 8 will do well in a number 8 environment, but that's not so, my friends, right? It doesn't work like that. For some reason, it repels. Those two repel each other for some reason. And so if an 8 person lives in an 8 house, it's not going to be very beneficial for them. So with that being said, if you're an 8 person, right, and you're looking at a house, then you really need to look at a house that equals up to a 3 or maybe a 6, right? A 3 or a 6 would do well for a person who's an 8. So you'll thrive better in those environments. Never choose a home that's a 4 or an 8 because it's going to be a detriment to you. So those are just the only two, right? 4 and 8 people, you guys are different, right? I would call you my special people because you're not able to live in a house that's the same number as your birth number. But just know the rules to the game. And as long as you know how to play the game, you'll become a winner. So a number 9 house. Now nine is that house of love and acceptance. So everyone is welcome at a 9 house, and that's going to be your problem because people are just going to be stopping by, hanging out, just to say what's up, right? They're going to be calling you for advice and all that good stuff because remember, 9 represents the number of humanitarian, right? And so you're going to be a people person, and people are going to feel that vibe in that house and feel comfortable to stop by. So your challenges are going to be not enough alone time. When you have people coming by all the time, right, you're going to get burnt out from your guests. So you're going to have to set structure and set schedule, right? To say, hey, look, I'm gonna be alone today, or y'all can't stop by today, or whatever that situation is, so you can have some me time or some family time. Because otherwise, people are just gonna be like, hey, we're gonna come hang out at your place. And if you notice, most of your family gatherings and whatnot are probably at your house because of the vibe of the house is one of comfort, right? One of love and where people just feel accepted. So this is a very, very conducive for people who are in publicity. So if you're in publicity, then living in a number 9 house would be great. If you're a humanitarian, a writer, entertainer, a spiritualist, number 9 is great for you. Now, again, 1, 3, and 9 are the fire numbers. So 9 is going to be prone to fires, may have a fireplace or fire pit, right? Something of that nature. But just know that that house is prone to something with fire. So we covered 1 through 9. I'm just going to touch on number 11 again because I talked about the 11, right, when we talked about the master numbers. But I didn't tell you that people who do well in a number 11 home will be somebody who's creative, who's a psychic. Because remember, that 11 is the doorway or the gateway to a new ideas or new beginnings or a change in your life. So that's why it's very conducive to psychic energy. And also, it's a strong vibration may bring spiritual test, and that's the reason why it's very good for psychics, right, or people who do that line of work, metaphysicians. It can be prone to flooding because, again, the root number to 11 is 2. So you may be by a body of water or something like that, dealing with the number 11 house too. So same thing, might be prone to leaky pipes with water, right? Dealing with the number 2. So I just wanted to touch on the number 11, as far as the type of energy that it has, and then who would be beneficial in that energy.
Okay, LaPortia, you gave us a lot of information about the homes or the house that we may live in. And to me, I see this as awareness. So if you're looking and you're trying to buy a new home or you're thinking about purchasing a new home, these are some of the things that you need to consider. And what blew me away is about the number 4 and number 8, how we get considered to be special and we're in a class on our own.
Right, your God's chosen people. I don't know, but that's how it turned out. 4 and 8
Wow.
they just have such unusual qualities to them that they can't vibrate under their own vibration, right? They have to be in alignment with another frequency in order to resonate.
And
So
it makes sense because when you talk about the number 4 home already being a home that represents hard work, and then you got a number 4 person, and
they're going to burn
that's
themselves out. That's
yeah,
what's
they're
going
gonna
to
burn
happen.
themselves out. So, and then with the 8, I can understand that too because they have these grand goals and ideas that they want to create, and they want more. And then a number 8 person moves in, so the energy is being double in that case. So I'm glad you alerted us to that right there. And in that, I could see like, some interesting things that you talked about that really align with some of the homes that I have stayed in. So I was
Mhm.
like, what? Yes, yes. But there's a few more things that I want to touch on before we move any further. So thank you so much for LaPortia for giving us this guidance today. It's so interesting. And believe it or not, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You have so much more to offer. So if you're in this audience and you feel like, hey, I'm about to purchase a home, or hey, I'm in this home and I want to know more about this home, let me get in contact and find out what I really should know about this home, they can contact you on bloomlife.me.
Yes, bloom
And
like that me.
okay, and you can go ahead and tell us about what you're offering, Portia.
Oh, well, I definitely want to offer, the services to those who are looking to purchase a home. Or if you're in a home now and you're feeling like things aren't so good at this house and you're not sure why, we can get to the root cause because I can look at your numbers as well as the house numbers to see if they're in alignment with one another. And I know sometimes, it's not easy to move on a place that you just bought, or maybe, but maybe there can be a way to neutralize that energy. So again, just being aware of what's going on puts you light years ahead of everyone else and gives you the tools that you can utilize to overcome, those obstacles that you may be facing in the home.
And once again, her information is on the bottom of the screen. She's a money mindset coach. She's also an author, lecturer, astro-numerologist, as she's so well proved today. And her website is bloomlife.me. Her IG is bloomlife.coach. Her Cash App is Venus Black, BLAQUE. And her PayPal is me Portia, me /Portia. That's right on the bottom of the screen. And Portia has a couple of things she wants to announce before we go. And we're going to talk about this one right here, reinvesting. Can you tell us what this program is, Portia?
Yeah, so this is a class of, for those who are looking to get their money up, right? Everyone's trying to get to the bag in 2025, and this is a class to help you do that. I'm going to show people how to invest in real estate without buying a property. There are so many ways to get investments and own property without physically having to have a whole lot of money down or knowing anything about real estate. So this class is very thorough. I go through, each step to show you how you can purchase shares into real estate or crowdfunding or digital real estate or things like that that will help you grow your wealth in 2025.
Thank you, LaPortia. And I see that it's happening Saturday, December the 7th. So
Yeah, this Saturday.
if you want to attend, make sure that you go ahead and get a ticket for that.
Well, I
But the
wanted to
question,
do something special though, Kimberly, for your audience. If they use they can use a passcode Kimberly, and they can get a discount on it. I'll give 20% discount on the class.
for us,
Just for your audience. So I know it's short
oh,
notice because this is one day before, so I want to make sure that they're able to, take advantage of this opportunity. So if they use the code Kimberly, they can get 20% off the course.
thank you, LaPortia. I have another question. With this, if they see this after December the 7th and don't get a chance to log on to this, will there be a recorded version of this that they could purchase also?
Well, I always turn my live classes into online courses, so I will most likely have this in an online format, possibly next month. All right,
Yeah.
um, so if they don't get a chance to attend the live one, then I definitely will have a online version that they can definitely go through.
Okay, so if you're seeing this and it's after the December 7th date, make sure that you check at bloomlife.me
Yes.
to get in touch with Portia and let her know that you're interested in that online course.
Yes.
Also, there's one more thing that I know you want to discuss. Tell us what this is about, LaPortia.
Yes, Rise and Power Thrive 2025. So I I love helping people overcome limiting beliefs, and so I joined forces with a trauma-informed coach as well as a sexual abuse counselor, Twaski in Valencia. And so what we're going to do is help people have their best lives in 2025 by overcoming limiting beliefs and trauma that's happened in the past. We're going to talk about childhood trauma, sexual trauma, trauma or abuse in relationships, because it's very unfortunate, but domestic abuse rates have skyrocketed since COVID. Here in the state of Louisiana, where I am now, we have a high domestic abuse rate case, right? And so we definitely want to get the information out there to let people know that they deserve more and they're worthy of more. And so we're going to help them overcome that trauma that's stopping them from becoming the best version of themselves. So they're going to go over the childhood trauma and the sexual abuse trauma, and I'm going to give people tools and techniques that they can use to help reprogram their mind, and then also, calm their nerves and get them into a better state of being.
That's awesome, Portia. That's something that we really need today in our community. In every community, we need to think about things like this, getting through that trauma and pain that we have once went through, and that's Rise in Power Thrive 2025. Now, the due date is in January, so you got this one. So make sure that you click the QR code down at the bottom of the flyer to check this project out, because I know that is something that you can benefit from.
Yeah, I also
So,
want to mention that you will get CEU credit with this as well. So if you're a social worker in the healthcare field or something like that, you will get credit, an accredited certificate saying that you took the course. So this can count towards a credit. for your continuing ed.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we want to make it affordable for everybody, but we wanted to cover the costs of the accreditation. Because again, I want you to not just survive 2025, I want you to thrive in 2025. Next year is a great year for us to hit the reset button on all areas of our life
Mm.
and improve where we are today, because where we are today is just a blip on the map, right? You can do so much more with what you have if you knew the tools that you already have at your fingertips. And I think what we're unaware of is that we have so many resources within that we don't know how to pull it out sometimes. And so that's what we're here to help you work with. Get over the trauma that's blocking you from the success or the goals that you're looking to achieve in life, or if it's just for you to become a better person, right? And get over the hurt of the past.
Awesome. And it lets us know that somebody still cares.
For sure, for sure. I care about each and every person. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all for me as far as and I hate to say collectively, the Black community. I want us to heal, right? Whatever traumas, whatever past hurts that we have, so we can propel ourselves into the next level, into the next future that's coming. Because 2025, again, it's the future, but this could be a new starting point for you, right? This is a way for you to have the life that you want starting next year.
It sounds like a call to action to me, everybody. What will your
Yes,
2025 be like? How will you move forward
right,
next year?
right. How was your relationships, your finance, your career, spirituality, right? What is it that, or how do you see yourself? And think about your future self. What does that look like? How does she talk? How does she move? What does she think? Right? You want to look at all that, all aspects of yourself when you're thinking about your future, because that's the qualities in which you're trying to achieve.
You know what I think about when I think about the Universal 9 year?
Hmm.
It's the purge. It's the purge. It's like you're just flushing out everything that shouldn't be there. So,
That's true.
yeah, and people think that and I was afraid of 9 year too at first, but to be honest with you, I see a lot of benefits in the 9 year, and I feel like it's one of my favorite years. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it allows you to spring clean. But I want to know from you, well, for me, I'm going to say that Astro-Numerology revealed today that our homes carry a numerical frequency too, and that there's a lot of things that go on in and around our home that directly impact us, whether we know about it or not.
Right.
I see that there's a lot of benefit in checking the numerology of your home and how compatible it is to you so that you can move forward with your goals and your purpose. I think that's awesome because if you're in a home that is requiring the energy of hard work and you're not in that, you don't want to do that, then you know you should find another place to go. But it's
Exactly.
revealed to me that astronumerology is also important in where we live at and how we live our lives on a daily basis. What did astronumerology reveal to you today, Portia?
Well, just like you said, it's just the fact that we're ruled by numbers, we're governed by numbers, and whether you realize it or not, they show up in random patterns in our life in order to get us to the next level or for us to recognize on a subconscious level who we are. And you do have to be, everything is made of energy, everything is made of atoms that are vibrating at a certain rate. So, with that being said, your environment has a certain vibration to it according to the number of the energy that's influencing it. And it can either be a benefit or a detriment to you, and but you have to discover that, right?
Wow. I want to thank you so much for not just being a one time guest, but being a returning guest. And I have to say, I was excited when you decided to come back.
Uh-huh.
And I hope you decide to come back again. I'm rolling out the red carpet for you. So make
I
sure that
appreciate that, sis. I appreciate that because I know
come.
that this information has to get out, and I'm glad that you are disseminating it among the audience and getting it out there to the masses, because it's been hidden for too long. So, kudos to you, Kimberly, for having this platform in order for us to voice this information.
Thank you so much, Portia. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Hmm.
So I hope to see you soon. Come back and break us down, give us some more tips, astro-numerology tips and money mindset tips. Either one, it's up to
Yes,
you.
yes. I definitely will. And like I said, I wear many hats, life coach and real estate broker and all that other good stuff. So, but at the end of the day, my job is just to help others. So if I can help you in some kind of way, that I've done my job.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you, Portia.
All right, thank you.